Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. I think we waited for like 8 minutes. Thank you for being patient, and let's start our today's webinar. Can you confirm if you can hear me clearly? Dodon, Rizwan, can you hear me?
Yes,
Thank
yes,
you.
Rajesh. Yeah.
Thank you. So today, uh, today we are going to talk about most common issues that were reported in the past in our ITS issue tracking system from the user countries. And the most common issues, we will be focusing on those issues in coming days as well. The next few series of the webinar will focus on sharing issues that were faced by the user countries in Pacific. So in today's talk show, we are going to talk about the Java issue that most of the users face while running the application. As you know, you are familiar with ASYCUDA already. So as you know, ASYCUDA in general, from users' perspective, it appears as a client-server application. You have a client, and which is popularly known as ASYCUDA world.jnlp file uh, that you use to connect ASYCUDA. So in general, we can say it's a client-server architecture that we have in ASYCUDA, uh, which allows you to run the application on your desktop. So when you say client, in general, think of ASYCUDA world.jnlp file, and the server that we have is basically the back-end processing component of application, including the data storage and communications with any other systems. If you have a information exchange with the systems in other government agencies. So whenever we say ASYCUDA client, we immediately we think of the ASYCUDA portal and the JNLP file hosted on the portal. Uh, to be precise, when you talk about ASYCUDA application, it's only the JNLP, the ASYCUDA world.jnlp file, which is the main component of the ASYCUDA application. The portal is just a utility, a tool to host uh, or to create a uh, platform for users so that they can download the JNLP file. You may have seen in some countries, each countries have a different portals. That is the reason for it. So when you download the JNLP file from the portal, you can run it on Java-enabled desktop environment. Or you can run it with the Java WS Web Start application. So most of the time, we receive questions commonly saying, how do I install ASYCUDA? Do I need to buy any licenses? Or what is the system requirement to run ASYCUDA? These are some common questions that we face, and I'm sure you also have faced it in your country, individual countries. So for ASYCUDA, actually, there is no installation requirement. What it requires is a desktop that has Java enabled on it or Java environment set on it. So each time you run ASYCUDA, it is automatically downloaded from the server to the client's PC. When you download, you see ASYCUDA.jnlp file downloaded. So JNLP file actually is Java network protocol file, which uses Java Web Start technology to facilitate execution of the ASYCUDA application. And this can be run by clicking the JNLP file on the desktop, or it can also be automatically executed if you set it up in the web browser through a plugin. So what it requires to run Java, to run ASYCUDA is, what is required to run ASYCUDA is a Java runtime environment. So you may have different Java in your PCs. For those who are using it for a while, they may be using a Java 1.6. Some are using 1.7, or some are using 1.8. So depending upon when ASYCUDA was installed in the country, there are different versions of Java that were installed at the time of deployment of the application. There is a very common question that we receive from countries. Why can't we run Java on the latest version of ASYCUDA? I have upgraded my PC. I have upgraded my Java. Now ASYCUDA cannot run. So to understand that, you need to understand what is JNLP and what is Java Web Start. Java Web Start is a Java 2 standard edition set of libraries that were available up to Java 8 version. If you have known Java before, it used to be owned by Sun Microsystems, and then there was an eventual takeover by Oracle. Now it is Oracle Java. So during this transition, there were some libraries which were depreciated from the newer version of Java. So as I say, Java Web Start technology, the JNLP technology, is required for ASYCUDA to run, which is depreciated in the later version of later version of Java libraries. So they were depreciated since Java Standard Edition 9, and then officially removed from Java Standard Edition 11, which also means there was a gradual removal of supporting libraries from Java Standard Edition 9. And also, probably in some cases, you may have seen that some Java 1.8 version also had some issues because the supporting libraries were depreciated. So when we say Java Web Start, Java WS, it is a package. It is a package library file inside the Java runtime environment. If you have a Java installed in your computer, if you just type Java WS, it will open up a screen that will look very much familiar with Java ASYCUDA JNLP. You'll have a similar experience of flashing screen like what you see when you run ASYCUDA client. So what Java Web Start does is it downloads the entire set of libraries that is required to run the application. So each time you click on the ASYCUDA.jnlp file, it downloads and runs the ASYCUDA from server onto the client's machine. And you may feel a bit awkward saying, oh, it may be resource intensive application. The JNLP technology actually runs on a basis that it has a local cache installed in your PC, and the files are also obtained from a cache on the server. So there is a very beautiful caching mechanism, which I will show you later slides, between server and client. This is why Java Web Start was very popular as it was deployed in earlier days. So what we do now in the latest version of the Java, you don't have Java WS Web Start technology. So there are alternatives to Java, and you may have heard a number of videos or news on internet that Java is no longer free, it requires license to be purchased. There are certain dilemma on the use of latest version of Java or the Oracle Java. So the industry has come up with the open source solution to this, which is called OpenJDK, freely available to use, and it is also packed with open version of Java Web Start, which is commonly known as Open Web Start, or you can use another one that is very popular is ICT Web, which is a re-implementation of the Java Start, and it is compatible with several JDK distributed and supports JNLP. Open Web Start is also open source, and it also supports Java Network Launch Protocol, the JNLP. So you can use OpenStart or ICT Web instead of Java WS also. There is another version that Microsoft has made some compatible changes with the .NET framework. .NET Click Once is also available to run JNLP files. I have not yet tested this one, but the other two works with ASYCUDA. Now, let's quickly see what is required as a user to run ASYCUDA client on a PC. If I'm running a Windows or I'm running a Mac laptop or I'm running on a Linux-based desktop environment. So it's very clear for ASYCUDA to run on any of these platforms, you would require a Java runtime environment. Either you use OpenJDK or you can use Oracle JDK. It's up to the user's preferences. Generally, what we recommend is to have a Java 8. If you are using an older version of Java, you should uninstall and use up to the Java version 8. Browser is compatible to any browser. Internet access is required. From my first slide, I mentioned the ASYCUDA architecture, by design, is a client server, which means the client connects to the server through the network. And if your server is hosted within the Office network, then you need a network access, intranet access. If it is hosted elsewhere on the cloud, you will need a stable internet connection to access ASYCUDA. ASYCUDA, the speed requirement varies countries to countries, application to application, depending upon the configuration of the country. But we recommend as better internet connection because the e-documents are downloaded from server to the client PC, at least for better user experience, 1 Mbps stable internet connection is recommended. And there are a couple of discussions that we have had in the past with the countries regarding the memory, what capacity laptop do we need? When you say memory, high capacity computer, these days almost the recent computers come up with 16 GB or 8 GB plus RAM built in and high processing power. So our recommendation is to use anything above 8 GB, 16 GB. It works well with 4 GB RAM as well if you are using a older version of any desktop in your office. ASYCUDA is a native Java application, so operating system it's independent to any operating system. You can run it on Linux, any Linux flavor such as Ubuntu or Mint, or you can run it on Mac, Apple desktop, or most commonly the Windows environment, given that you have set up a runtime, a Java runtime for it. This slide, what we are saying is a case that we were reported by a user saying he was unable to run ASYCUDA on a Mac computer. And as we discussed in the previous slides, it's operating system independent, so it can run in any platform as long as there is a Java correct version of Java installed. So what we recommend is to have a Java 8 installed, which is the most and best compatible with ASYCUDA, while it still maintains the same level of security. Not necessarily that you need to have the latest version of Java to run the ASYCUDA client. As you see, as the issue was reported, I hope you can see the error part of the slide. You see that there is error, some computer language, something on Greek written on the right side of the slide. You'll see this is the default error that a user got, and then when we checked what version of Java he was using, he was using Java 23 to run ASYCUDA client, and he was not aware that his computer was automatically updated to this version. So what is recommended is to first uninstall any version of Java that you have previously installed in your PC, and then install Java 8. For this particular case, we recommended installing JDK 8U202 version. And then, despite that, the user did not uninstall the previous version of Java, and then he reported us installation failed. And the issue was they were saying, oh, you are recommending outdated Java, and it is not, my PC is not accepting it because I have the latest MacBook, etc., etc. So it's always recommended to remove, uninstall any previous version of Java, and then install Java 8. And we have also shared with the user countries at the time of the project installation the steps to follow during the configuration of Java in the computer, which is mainly related with the Java security settings. You may require to add an exception to the site, which is to say, okay, for example, abc.asycuda.org is a trusted website. In case of Mac computer, you may also need to do an advanced setting to uncheck this particular box, because it sometimes forces to check the certificate, and at the times your certificate is expired pending renewal, it will reject connection to the server. So console is you can enable So console to see the list of libraries that are downloaded at the time of running ASYCUDA. We have detailed manuals of how to install ASYCUDA on Windows, Mac, and Linux. Should you need these user guides, please contact our office. We'll share with you. So after you have successfully installed the Java runtime environment, you can download the JNLP file from your country's portal. If you right-click and run it with the Java launcher, you should see this screen. This screen, as you see on the top, it's saying downloading the application. So as I referred in my previous slide, the JNLP technology is a protocol that actually communicates from the client to server to download the necessary libraries required to run the application. So each time it connects to the server, it will download the fresh jar files from the server cache. This is not all. Even we do all these things, we get this screen very often. I'm sure all of you have seen these screens many times, not a few times. This is because the JNLP file failed to download the necessary resources that is required to execute the desktop. Now, in next few slides, we'll see what are the possible reasons why this happens. This is the content of the JNLP file, and you can see. Can you read the slide contents? Are you able to see? Dodon, okay, yes. You can read the content. So where you see here, you can see that there is a basic HTML tags here, specific tags that refers to the ASYCUDA configuration, and it tells you where the files is coming from. For this particular you can see the files are referring to cookislands.asycuda.org prototype. So the files are being downloaded from this website, and you can see the libraries here, the reference to the libraries, and you will see all the modules that you have. The relevant jar files are here. And you can see the later part of the JNLP file. It's a quite long file. I've tried to take the first few lines from the top of the file and the end of the file. You'll see all these libraries. There are lots of libraries that are downloaded when you run the application. And end of the application, what you see here is, again, cookislands.asycuda.org.2004, a port number. And then you see an argument dout. So basically, it may be a complex for a general user to understand what are these, but for ASYCUDA support team, what is important to understand here is that you are using a correct JNLP to connect to the server, and the port that is required for the client to communicate with the server. In this example, you see here the port is 2004, not the default port. So for your country specific JNLP, you will see different number here. And at a times client fails to start, the first thing is to check if your network allows communication on that port. So whenever there is a network upgrade or there is an audit going, or system admins are not aware of this, sometimes the ports are filtered and the communication is blocked. That was the JNLP overview, but there are many reasons why your client fails to start. Why do you see this screen? And I have listed all these possible reasons that we have found during our support to countries in many years. And most common issues are incorrect use of Java JRE version in user computer. So they would install a wrong version of Java, or the computer will automatically upgrade the Java. So the incorrect version of Java is the primary reason you see this screen. Also, one of the user country reported they did everything we said, and still he was unable to run this application. After long time, he managed to find out the reason, and it was the wrong date and time on the PC. So it was referring back to 1990s while he was on 2020, while it was 2025. So always check the date and time. What happens, the case with the wrong date and time is because your internet service provider blocks you from accessing the internet if your date and time on your PC is wrong, and as a result you will not be able to communicate with the server. Another issue that we see is Java security settings. Sometimes the network there is incorrect TLS settings in the Java. I will show you on my next slides what exactly I mean. This security settings actually prevents ASYCUDA app from running. Actually, it's not the ASYCUDA app, it's actually the JNLP trying to launch the network protocol. Also, what we see is the path variables in the Java path variables in the computer is set wrong because they install multiple times. Few applications make changes on the environment, and it affects the path variable. So when they install, they will be installing Java 8. But when you run from the command prompt, you will see it's referring to Java maybe 23 installed in different location. Also, you see sometimes users download the JNLP and keep it on their desktop, which is fine, but they don't clean it up. They don't clean it, and then they keep it for a long, long time, maybe 5 years time, and then it expires. Actually, the cache files are outdated, and it fails to connect also. So if you keep your ASYCUDA client JNLP file on your desktop, it's recommended to delete and download new ones time to time. Also, very common is to have a firewall or antivirus in Windows desktop PC blocking the communication. And on the last one, the most important one, most often the network connections. Sometimes the user report ASYCUDA we are not able to connect. What happens is the internet is controlled by some other office in the organization, and they have access to the local intranet files. And maybe they are receiving some services through the proxy servers, but the whole internet, they are not exposed to the whole internet. So always check your network connections with the network administration or the internet service provider. Let's see how do we troubleshoot some of these issues, the Java issues that we face. As we said, check incorrect version of Java, uninstall it, install it, make sure you have the right one, either 1.6, 1.7 or 1.8. Beyond that is not supported, not compatible. So if you find you are using the latest version of the Java, first thing to do is reinstall it, remove it completely from the desktop, then only reinstall it again. So if you install it on top of the existing one, you will have a multiple environment variables set in your computer, and it may work at times and fail to work at other times. So the best way is to go to the terminal and check your Java version. And if you want to see if Java Web Start is available in your PC or not, this is what you type. If you just type Java WS, enter, you'll get a flashing screen of the several options that is available with the Java Web Start technology. Another issue now you see is communication with the server was terminated. Do you want to exit? This error happens because you have a network problem. It's very clear. Or you have a wrong date and time on the computer. Even the internet is sometimes okay, but your wrong date and time on computer is wrong, and you are not able to properly communicate with the server. As if you can see the error screen here, if you see the exception that is generated from ASYCUDA client is related with the java.net. And you can see mostly java.net is a Java network communication protocols. You can, the library supporting that component. So the solution for this is to check the date and time, to ping Google server, to ping your country's website. For this example, we are pinging tuvalu.asycuda.org. Another one, the same error, unable to launch application, happens because of the wrong Java security setup. Some networks are more secure than the other networks. When I say networks, it means the office network, the internal network. Because of different ICT policies set by the organizations, sometimes the policies are too strict and they block the protocols. you will see on this screen there is a protocol, there is an exception that is saying that there is no TLS SSL protocol enabled. Means you are not allowed to communicate with these two protocols within the network. So that has been disabled or blocked. It can be done at the network level, domain level, or on the desktop itself. So, so how do we fix it? You can fix it through the Java control panel. And when you run Java WS viewer, or when you go to the Java control panel, you will see this screen. And the protocol blocking is on the advanced section. Here you will see these boxes checked, the TLS protocol. So sometimes sometimes the network admins are very specific to certain protocols and they don't allow to use SSL 2.0, or they only allow TLS 1.3. So make sure these are checked, these boxes are enabled before you run the application again. Another option that we see that users have a very high security setup on the Java control panel. When you set a very high, it still works, but at the time you have issues with the certificates, it may not work. So to have a very high Java setting, you need to have a valid certificate and verified and installed on the user computer and the server. So just to have a medium leverage on the certificate side, what you can do is you can set it up to the high, which is a better standard, which is a good with the security. It checks the security, but it doesn't block the connection. So you put it on the high side, and the most important one is to put the site on the exception list so that you don't get a frequent unable to launch errors. This box is important to be checked. Enable Java content for browser and web start application. So if you have this disabled, you will not be able to download. When you download the JNLP file, you will have security warnings. Now, what if the JNLP is still blocked? It's very frustrating at times. You do everything and it's still not working. And you are not only one. We also face these scenarios. We do all the recommended settings and we still cannot run it. So this happens because of the cache. As I said in my previous first slide, the JNLP technology is good because it uses the cross-platform tech. It is compatible with any platform. It is faster because it is reading from the cache on the server on the local file. So it maintains a local cache. So when you download, you are not downloading the entire application. It's just downloading the timestamps to make sure that, okay, the files are up to date. So when you install ASYCUDA for the first time, it downloads, it takes longer to run. The second time is faster, so it becomes normal. So what is happening here is the JNLP is downloading the application libraries to your local computer, and when you made the security settings, the ASYCUDA client is still looking to the cache, the local cache that is stored on the PC, because it is not expired. Generally, they are timed to expire. So what should I do? You have to revisit all the security settings again, check the Java version, make sure you have checked the high, not very high on the security system. Make sure you have the exception site listed, then delete the Java cache and delete the SO class cache file. These two are the cache that is maintained by application. This is maintained by Java, and SO class cache is maintained by the ASYCUDA to improve the performance of the application. So let's see how do we delete the SO class or clear the cache from user's computer. You can see the clients, each user have a separate home directory when you log into a PC or a desktop. This particular example I'm talking in, if the user is on Windows environment, he will have the SO class cache with starting with the dot. That means it's a hidden file inside the home directory of a user. So if it is if your name is David, it will be inside C drive users David and this file. So you have to locate this file and delete. Or you can also run a Java WS viewer and it will lead you to this screen and you can delete the files from the Java Web Start control panel. One of the major problems that users face is auto update. How do you disable auto update? So each time there is an update on the PC, Java is not updated. So this particular slide is showing how do you disable. There is on the Java control panel, you have a check for updates automatic. You have to disable this one. You can do it through the advanced tab, and there is never auto download. So it will, if you check this option, it will not update the Java JRE on your desktop computer. Well, everything is done perfectly, then you will see this screen. Happy times. Now, we also see there are cases you have successfully installed the Java. You are getting this screen. You have a login prompt available, and when you try to log in with your username and password, you see this screen. It's taking longer to log you into the system. The login process is delayed. It takes long time to authenticate. Often it leads to a frozen screen. Every ASYCUDA user have encountered this in their day-to-day, I mean, not regularly, but every now and then, in few months, they see this. This happens because of few reasons that we have encountered. It happens because of sometimes you are in rush, you click on the cross button and exit the application without cleaning your desktop, which means you have your e-documents open on the desktop. Sometimes you have unexpected shutdown due to power failure, for example, or you have a out of memory issue on the server side. You're trying to log in, but your server is not able to handle the request and it's struggling to give you resources. Also, you are a long-time user and you have never deleted your internal mailboxes. It's full of emails, and that's also putting load on the desktop. So it's recommended to clean your mailbox every now and then. So for example, why this happens would be an example to say you have a big declaration. You are working on 200 items on SAD, and then something came and you closed the screen or power went down suddenly. So what happened? When you do that, either the local cache file gets corrupted. So the file that is stored on your PC may be corrupted. Or same thing may have happened on the server side. So the cache file is corrupted. So the application is trying to restore your previous desktop and trying to retrieve the information directly from the database instead of the cache. And the result is that user will face a slower response, will get a delayed response from the system. So the solution to this is to again delete your local cache. It doesn't work. Ask your network administrator to delete the server cache. Well, most of the time it works once you do this, and there are worst case scenarios where it doesn't even work doing this. So in that case, you have to contact your AW administration team, the administrator of the system, and they will update your user account. What they need to do is revoke all your business units, validate your user account, and then re-grant all the business unit. So what will happen when you do this is, in the background, the system will kill all the e-documents that were open on your desktop. Also, we have seen some cases where users are complaining about slowness. Some users are okay, some countries are okay, and some other countries are complaining why our system is slow, or it was okay yesterday, few weeks ago, and then we asked to make some change, and now it is very slow. So sometimes it's because of the Java memory allocation, which is, as you see in the JNLP file. Look at the line that talks about the initial heap size and maximum heap size. So this is where we configure JVM memory for client for ASYCUDA application. And sometimes when you ask your project officer to make some changes and recompile and make some updates on the system, these settings are overwritten. And you may feel that now previously it was faster, now it is slow. You can check the heap size configuration. Generally, for Office handling a large number of multi-item declaration or handling a bigger manifest would require up to 1 GB or 2 GB heap size. For smaller ones, in some countries, what we have done is we have set up two JNLPs saying a higher low capacity and high capacity configuration. So this is also something that helps. This also helps improve performance. We have a comment from Stanley. Yes, thank you, Stanley. That's exactly what it means. When you have a multiple documents open and not closed properly, and that's how it affects the performance. So you open a document, kindly close e-documents before you exit the system. So that's what we refer to cleaning your desktop, the ASYCUDA desktop. Once you log in, you have e-documents open, you should close it to avoid this kind of issues. Another issue that you may have seen or may not have seen is usually the client fails to open or update any document. You can open documents, you can read, you can find the documents, you can view the documents, but as soon as you want to register or you want to access the documents, the system rejects, saying impossible to create records. So this is due to the space issue, either mainly on the database side, on the server side. So it's the responsibility of the system administrators to regularly check and monitor the disk space to prevent this kind of failures, and also with the depending upon the environment you are using, you can set alerts or set up a system to notify if there is any space issues. These are the common issues that we found reported in our ITS, and there are many more actually, but we tried to cover the most important one and the most common issue that was reported very, very frequently. And I think we would also like to hear from you, your experiences on common issues, and we get the and I would like to invite some of you to share your experience. I think recently in one of the from Tonga, the David, he faced a challenging situation with the Java. David, are you there to share your experience? Yes, David. Let's hear from you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Sorry, our room is a bit crowded, but we'll try my best to deliver this. So yeah, last week we were trying to install a Java to this new laptop from one of our brokers, and the laptop was pretty much configured and installed in New Zealand before importing it. So we had trouble trying to install the whole thing. So we did some troubleshooting, me with Dodan, and we were like repeating the whole thing for the whole process for around 5 times, but in a very detailed way. And then we almost gave up. And I noticed on the bottom right corner, the time was in other zones. I'm not sure whether it's in New Zealand or UK, something like that. And then we changed back the time and redo the whole thing, and then it worked.
So yeah, it was. So in your case, it was the Java plus the date and time problem.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. So some of these things actually we are reported that it's not working on this particular laptop, and we can only recommend the steps, and we would never know the laptop was either imported from New Zealand and it is running on a different time zone. So this comes with the experience. Thank you, Tivita, David, for sharing your experience. Anybody else you'd like to share your experience with Java setup in your country, or a similar scenario where you faced, where you troubleshooted ASYCUDA connection for a broker or a customs officer? Okay, I think there is these are the there is no hands up, so I think we have a hands up from Tebe in Tuvalu. Okay, please go ahead. Hello, Tebeke, are you there? You want to say something? We cannot hear you. Are you on mute? I have enabled the mic from our end. Looks like a problem with the microphone. Okay. Meantime, let's. I think he will try. Let us know when you're fixed your microphone. We have a hands up from Doden. Doden, would you like to say something? Doran? Hello? Okay, looks like he's also having some issues. Doran, we cannot hear you. If you have a problem with the microphone, please feel free to write your questions on the chat board, on the chat box. All right, I think we have no more questions from the participants. Thank you for joining us today. I appreciate your time and questions in this webinar, and we'll continue bringing similar issues and similar presentations to you in coming days. We'll keep you posted. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.